Nostalgia is the world's premier online digital club for culture exclusively designed for sneaker enthusiasts. Using Slack as the base platform, Nostalgia is set up as an exclusive membership-only group in which sneaker enthusiasts can join to get all of their latest sneaker news and hang out, share, engage, and debate in sneaker talk. An exclusive community where you can engage, network, and build relationships. Your sneaker customizers, your sneaker shop owners, your collectors, your vloggers, your historians, all engaging and networking together under one digital roof.
So I imagine you're a pretty good shooter.
Well, some days. I'm an old man with a bad back and 7 orthopedic surgeries. So
that didn't stop Larry Bird. While the jump shot may seem like one of the most fundamental moves in basketball today, that hadn't always been the case. In fact, it wasn't until 43 years after basketball was invented in 1891 that the first jump shot was attempted. Big shout out to Kenny Sailors. Since then, the jumper, specifically the three-pointer, has been one of the most attempted shots in the game, seeing a 55% increase in the NBA between 2009 and 2019. Also during that same period of time was an increase in the use of data and analytics. So today, we decided to visit Noah Basketball, a company that's found a way to marry both numbers and jumpers to create the perfect shot. I'm Leland with Koisky, and welcome to Sports Dissected. All right, so I am with Noah CEO, Mr. John Carter. How are you doing today?
Great, Leland.
Thank you for inviting us out. So just explain to me real quick what Noah is.
We're a data company, so we collect data on basketball shots. We glean insights from that data, and we share those insights and that data back with our customers, with our teams. And so we do business with over half the NBA. We have 100 plus college customers and a few thousand high school customers using our technology currently. So on a really good day, we'll collect 1 million shots when it just so happens all of our teams are in town. So we turn around and we present that data back to the customers in a way that they can digest it, so they can see where players got shots from. We're 100% accurate on make miss, so we can tell exactly from what quadrant on the floor that a player's good and where they're bad.
Let's take us back a little bit. How did it get started?
Yeah, so it's a great story. And so it was a guy named Alan Marty is working with his daughter in his driveway in Menlo Park, California, right there in the Silicon Valley. And his daughter was shooting too flat. Just like all dads, they want to help their kids be the best they can be. So he originally had taken a rake and attached it to a ladder and had kind of calculated how high the rake needed to be and say, hey, honey, you want to shoot right over the rake?
Okay.
And of course, it wasn't very successful.
Okay.
But that was the original Noah product. So from there, the idea was spawned. It's like, wouldn't it be great if there's some way to give a player instant feedback without them having to wear anything or shoot over anything or use a special ball, just practice like normal. Everybody understands you got to shoot the ball straight, but everybody didn't fully understand trajectory and how it matches up with shooting percentage, but we found it to be really, really important. And so all the great shooters we tested early on, they're all in the mid-40s. They all have an entry angle in the mid-40s. The very first client, we had a few test customers and things like that, but it's kind of a funny story, but it was the Miami Heat when they just had traded for Shaq.
Oh, wow. For his free throws?
For his free throws,
okay.
But he wouldn't use it. Interestingly, he wasn't a big fan of technology at that point. Honestly, like a lot of players back then.
There are definitely some old school coaches out there that don't believe in technology and they just want to do it, the old school way. I definitely think we're seeing more coaches adapt. That's where the generation is today. The players, they constantly have a phone in their hand. Everyone's looking for the new thing, new edge. The verbal feedback I like, that's what I kind of grew up on. Not every player has the same problem, and that's what's cool about Noah. If you have an arc problem, if you shoot the ball too high, you can put on the feedback and you have a fix for that. If maybe you have a left-right problem, you wouldn't be able to really recognize that without the system. Mainly what the coaches like is being able to adjust by what the player's problem is.
The side of it that a lot of people don't see is that, numbers are everywhere. Math is everywhere, data is everywhere. You make a shot, whether you know it or not, you calculate it in your mind, okay, how much force do I have to do to get this to the basket? Or you're running down the court, like, oh, I see my teammate over there, I gotta pass the ball, but I gotta aim ahead of him because I know he's going. I can't throw it to where he's now, I have to throw it to where he's going to be. And so whether people realize it or not, math and data and numbers, that's just intertwined in basketball and in sports in general.
So as it relates to the actual NOAA system, because obviously they're dealing with the shot, the art, the depth. What do you do here specifically to make those numbers look?
Right, so I mean, in the beginning, all we get is, okay, someone took a shot, it was taken from this point on the floor. You can get some immediate feedback in terms to, okay, that was short, that was long. But once you start to aggregate all that data, once you start to take data from multiple teams or multiple players, then you can look at trends and you can say, oh man, I'm just not very good at this aspect of my game compared to everybody else. Like, this is where I need to focus.
We'd like to believe we're becoming a standard. Our stuff is used by NBA teams for pre-draft workouts. They're used for player development, for slump detection, for bringing players back from injuries. The NBA has brought us in. We're a part of the combine and evaluating shooters for the NBA, for their teams. We're a part of Summer League and installing our stuff in about half of the Pac-12 arenas. We'll be collecting game data. Those teams will have access to that data at halftime after games as they're preparing. And then that data will be made available to the networks for them to utilize the data during the broadcast.
I'm primarily focused on the colleges, the universities, but I also handle a few states in the Southeast with high schools. We work with probably about a third of the Power 5 schools. I would say anywhere from probably 75 to 100 colleges altogether.
Playing basketball is huge in feel. You have to feel how you're shooting. And if you have that immediate feedback, so a qualitative measure was like you just mentioned, oh, that's short, that's long, you gotta, shoot it higher, shoot it lower, whatever. A quantitative measure is a concrete number. So you say, you shoot it, you know it's shallow, but it gives you a number 43 and you think, okay, I gotta bump that up a little bit. You can feel that, and the more you do it, all of a sudden you can self-correct and you can make those changes on the fly during a game. So that's a huge deal to current players and up-and-coming players. They can have an objective, okay, it's not your coach's thought, it's not your dad's, opinion, it's I'll tell you exactly what it is, and there's no argument over it. This
is a sample of one of our customers. Today, they've logged 1,906 shots, made 71%. We see that, typical NBA team's gonna have, somewhere in that 65% plus. This is the rim, and you can see this area I'm circling here. We call that the GMZ, the guaranteed make zone. I'm gonna trim and get rid of some of these layups here, and you can see I can just kind of filter the data however I like. None of the great shooters swish every shot. They all utilize the back part of the rim. So I threw one term at you, GMZ, guaranteed make zone. Another one is BRAD, stands for back, rim, and down. But from this tool, which is great, for example, I can draw boxes around areas and look at, and you'll notice when I highlight an area now, all the data is updated. This particular shot here had a 50-degree entry angle. It was 8 inches deep in the basket, and it was 4 inches to the right. Our new 3D site we're excited about. Just a quick look here, you can see that how we actually can fly around the entire shot area. We can select the shots you want to look at, and we can use just kind of a virtual camera. Matter of fact, I can look at these and I can see this player tends to have a little bit of a bend to the left. And I can see here that there's not hardly any shots in the right half, so everything's in the left half. And so it's just a great way for me to be able to graphically, I can also see here this particular player is really consistent. You can see how the trajectory follows the same path, and that's the kind of things that we look for. So it's another way to display some of the same data, honestly, but to show it in a way that the player can really understand it and understand it at a little bit deeper level.
Okay, so Josh, the height, there's a height difference with each sensor. Could you just explain that to me?
Yeah, so the practice facility sensor, which is this Connect V2, is mounted at 23.5 feet. And then our Arena product, which is the Azure Connect, is mounted right at the top of the shot clock level, which is closer to 17 feet. And like I said before, that higher height for the practice facility product is actually a plus for us because it keeps it up out of the way. It's not noticeable at all when you go into a practice facility. This is kind of up above everybody's vision level. And I've seen countless arena games with this in use and have never seen it hit. The idea with this, the majority of those are newer style shot clocks that have camera receivers on them. Usually that's for like RoboCams or like you see the over the rim view on ESPN or stuff like that. Usually there's 2 of those and we just utilize one of those pipe mounts. We have a pipe going up over to the center and then you can see this little pipe clamp here which connects right to it. And the good part about this sensor is it calibrates automatically, as does the V2.
All right, so we finally made it to the gym.
This is where the hardware resides. This is where the big speaker from the feedback we've been hearing today resides. And so there's just a couple things here. So this is where you would come over to change the type feedback. Some players need left-right feedback or shot depth feedback. So you literally just select the kind of feedback that you want. And then you can turn the volume up and down. This is a system that's on 24/7. Say you don't want the feedback on right now, it's still recording all the data. Still recording all the data for the shots. You know, for example, you typically would put in your team's roster here. And so you go in and tap whoever, start workout. Now all that data will be tagged to you. When you're through, you hit end session and all that data is saved to you. If you have, like in NBA teams have our automatic shooter ID or the facial recognition stuff, you really don't use the roster stuff because we're gonna tag it to the correct player anyway. They just come over, use the volume, the type feedback they want, boom, you're ready to go.
I'm about to get a 10-minute workout in. This is just some shots without any feedback. I'm gonna look at the data and get some more shots to see if I can get perfect or pretty close to that 45 degrees. Start with a make.
Jumps give you a little more power.
Yeah. This is tough. I know a lot of my shots were short. I feel like I can kind of assess that a little bit. Consistency, I would probably put that at like a C, maybe. Average arc, traditionally, I think I'm a flat shooter, so probably like 38, 39. Average depth, whew. A lot of those are short. I would say about 9. And then left, right, I don't know what number it will be, but for sure, all over the board.
So you notice, Leland, this is the same stuff we talked about in the conference room.
Okay.
Back rim and down, you know, the deep part of the baskets.
Hold on, before you get too deep.
Okay.
I shot at a 58% clip, right?
That's correct.
So what level am I at? Am I ready for the league in NBA?
You might want to work a little bit. You had a lot of long misses.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those long misses happen when your trajectory was too flat. So you averaged about 13 inches deep in the basket. I'm actually going to look at it and just look at the shots that were kind of a reasonable length. So around 13 inches deep in the basket, that's a couple inches too deep. Mm-hmm. So here's the perfect shot depth. And you notice all these that are kind of past the line in general are the back rim and down shots. You didn't have a great deal of swishes.
Okay.
A lot of that was because of the flatter trajectory. So you averaged 43 degrees.
Okay.
But I was over here watching, oftentimes you would have some that were in the 30s.
Okay.
Like there's a 39 right there.
Uh-huh.
Then you would jump up to a 45. So that's the biggest issue for you. Your left-right consistency was pretty dang good. You got a B+ score there, which is good. That's well above average.
Okay.
And you'll notice you didn't have a lot of really bad misses to the left or the right. But if I look at this distance from short to long, that's where we're gonna make you better. So I think the thing we'd like to do now is go back and turn the arc feedback on.
Okay.
And I think we'll see some better data. Nice. Good. So now here's a look at some of your shots afterwards. From this similar batch of shots as before, you made 70% versus what'd you make the first time? 57 maybe?
It was like 57, right at under 60.
And also, you remember I was explaining how this short-long control, your arc consistency score was what before? A C?
It was like a C, C-, yeah.
And so you get a B this time, a full letter grade better.
Nice.
And because of that, we have less short-long discrepancy. And so here, because your arc, as you were listening to the feedback, was more consistent. You make 12, 13 percentage points more, and we can see it in the rim map here in the overall control. But also we're collecting this 3-second video clip of all of your shots, and from that we can use facial recognition to recognize who you are. Here's what we saw a lot from your shot. This is really good. So I noticed every time you were around 40 degrees and your shot was flat, the ball went deep, which is pretty common. So see, this one was 41 degrees, but look where the ball went, 20 inches deep in the basket. Whereas if I pull up, you know, one of these shots in this area here, that was 41, you get another one, Here's one that's 45, pretty much dead center.
And I can even see on the free throw how I'm not leaning back like you were
Right,
saying with
exactly.
the body noise earlier.
Looks pretty good.
One of my favorite quotes is, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. But after today, I think I'm gonna have to alter that just a little bit. Because in actuality, you miss about 60% of the shots that you don't shoot with the 45-degree angle.
47.
See what I mean? I'm Leland with Korsky. And as always, I'm sorry, you'll never see it the same.